All right, guys. How's the energy in the room? Yes. This was a very long day. It's our last panel for today, but definitely a very cool one. I would say also a bit more laid back because we talk about innovation, infrastructure progress. I know you guys had, I guess, a lot of panels already the last few days. So if you get tired, just let me know. But let's give the best energy to our audience. Thank you for still being here. And we have amazing speakers here on stage. I personally was at ETHDenver at the first Agents Unleashed event. And for me, it was the first conference where we had experts from the AI side and the crypto side in the room, and where we discussed or started the whole decentralized AI discussion. So this was 3, 4, 6 months ago, and since then, it has evolved a lot, right? Now we have 200 AI-focused side events. Everyone did a lot of progress, maybe developed more and new product demos. And this is what we want to talk about today, how everything evolved since our first crypto AI conference this year. I will just go around the line, and you guys please start to introduce shortly. Your microphone is here. And maybe say also, Jiahao, if you want to start, where Flock.io fits into the overall AI crypto tech stack.
All right, cool. Hi, my name is Jiahao, CEO and co-founder of Flock. And what we do is, well, basically federal learning on blockchain, trying to secure users' data locally, but can still do a decentralized training across all the devices or compute powers around the world. Yeah, that's what I do. And actually, Richard has had a good article about the layoffs of the whole AI and the crypto space. So we are on the, well, he told me this is called a sophisticated layer, right? Or intelligence layer. Yeah, basically that's a layer where we work with the decentralized compute, work with the decentralized data storage, and also connect it to the AI agents where the model is built on Flock. So that's where we are.
Cool. And Phala and Flock also partner. So it's great to have a lot of partners here on stage. Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, so my name's Richard. I'm from Naptha AI. I've been working in the AI crypto space for 3 years now. At the start, just like worked with a lot of different technologies in the like decentralized data space, decentralized compute. So we built up a really good picture about how these technologies need to come together to, build fully decentralized AI applications. And also in exploring the stack, we kind of identified a layer that we thought was missing, which is quite high in the stack. It's like workflow orchestration. It's basically how the different lower pieces in the stack work together to do useful things for users. So Naptha is like a decentralized workflow orchestration framework.
Zane, your intro.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zane from Spectral. We're working on a marketplace for agents and also provide tools for agent creators and for people to instantiate jobs for these agents. Most of our activity is tailored towards crypto usage, so we have a large suite of tools that allow people to create these agents that interact on chain.
Marijo.
Hello, everyone. I'm the co-founder of Alterscope. We at Alterscope building a decentralized, immutable infrastructure to enable DeFi and risk-taking protocols to be smarter and more flexible when liquidity movements are happening. We are for that using data agents for portfolio rebalancing, portfolio systems, and for bringing off-chain data into the system.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for staying around. And what's probably beer time soon, I think. I'm James from Subquery. We're a data indexer where we work across over 200 different networks. And over the past 6 months, we've seen a bunch of new AI companies come work with us. We provide indexed, organized, aggregated data from over 200 blockchains, which they use in their models and their training sets and everything in between. So yeah, it's amazing to see the transformation of this industry towards AI very recently.
And Phala also works with Subquery, so great to have you guys here. We are, what is today? Wednesday already. 4 or 5 days into ETHCC. I would like to hear from you guys. I know, Richard, you also participated in the DAGI hackathon. There were a lot of side events, hackathons. What is one of your main key insights from a high level, before we go into like all the infrastructure process, that you have seen or you really are very excited about from the last days? Richard, if you would like to start.
Okay. Yeah, I think like where we're at in the decentralized AI space is that we have a lot of the building blocks. A few people in previous panels touched on this. I think the bit that we're still missing are the integrations between all of the different technologies. So how to use, Phala network together with Naptha. There's still a lot of these integrations to build out. So I think until we get there, we're not going to see any of the, really amazing applications of decentralized AI. So that's definitely something that I've been thinking about the last few days.
James, when did you arrive? Did you have enough time to see some cool innovations going on in the space?
Yeah, I got here on Sunday, but it's amazing. Every day there's AI events and AI side events. And it's in a way, a tip for ETHCC is just don't go to the main event, just go to the side events, because there's probably better speakers, better talks, more interesting insights, and better connections you make at all the side events. Like walking around a room like here today, you see a bunch of teams from a bunch of different places around the world working on the same thing.
You guys want to add something? Marijo?
Yeah, I arrived on Monday, and it's quite interesting to see how the narratives of the Web3 space are changing. Like 2 or 3 months ago, everything was about somehow, from my feeling, about co-processing, ZK co-processors and risk-taking. And now we switched into this AI data-driven agent narrative inside. And it's quite interesting to see that those projects who were like pitching the risk-taking and ZK co-processing narrative now are adjusting the narrative towards this data agent narrative.
And Jiahao, for Flock.io, right? I mean, you are definitely an AI-focused project. What are some things that you've worked on last quarter that are really pushing the AI crypto space forward?
Oh, I think is, well, generally because of the capability of, for example, GPT and all the new models coming out, and then lots of the new functionalities are actually being unleashed. So that's why we saw, not only in Web3, but in Web 2 as well, lots of the AI agents type of startups or applications came out. That's giving a market a very strong push, especially on the demand side, let's say, right? So, yeah, that's why I see this become a super heated topic from the beginning of this year. Yeah, that was definitely a like an AI summer type of beginning.
It's starting, right? Anyone wants to add from their perspective what any of the innovation side you've worked on over the last quarter?
Maybe I can give you words. I was at the Olas summit in Denver. So basically, we are building this network of nodes utilizing EigenLayer basically to run these data agents. And now, since then, I mean, our focus was to get as many as possible data agents, get a consensus-based mechanism, getting the off-chain data into our infrastructure, and then verifying everything. Then we realized basically, okay, but who is going to run these data agents and how stable is that? If you are moving multi-billion liquidity once bull market comes in. And then we realized, okay, we have to think about these parts, where and how this should run. And since then, we are moving towards a direction to get a network of nodes utilizing EigenLayer. And we are already building that. The whole architecture and POC is already there. And then maximizing that to get as many as possible data agents, multiple data agents on multiple nodes, and to have a very easy and fast way to scale up the activities to get as much as possible data in our infrastructure, yet you can trust to that.
I think it's been interesting in the last 6 months, like AI has kind of given us the opportunity to do something first in Web3. Traditionally, Web3 has always kind of followed Web 2 in terms of, oh, we're doing a Web 3 version of this, or this is that, but done in Web 3 in a decentralized way. But for this AI surge that we're seeing, there's this need and hunger for compute. Yep. And decentralized compute is one of those new industries that really has a kind of an advantage of some ways over centralized providers providing the same things. You know, everyone's a bit worried about trying to get compute from AWS or GCP or Microsoft, for example, because you don't know, they're competing with you directly. And so this AI wave and the desire for training models and fine-tuning models has opened up decentralized compute in a way that Web3 kind of has an advantage over Web2.
Yeah, for us, I think your point is a great framework for to think about things is that, okay, you see some demo for an agent, but as soon as real money is involved, then it becomes a lot more serious and you have to have much more confidence in these systems. So yeah, last couple months, it's been great to get new foundation models, which have really helped with our selection of tools, how you generate code, evaluate code, and actually produce much more reliable agents that we think people will entrust with serious liquidity soon.
Yeah, just to jump on the AI side of things, because I totally agree. Like when we talk about decentralized AI, we tend to talk about putting existing AI on Web3 rails. I think how we're really going to onboard a lot of users from the AI space is when we show that actually decentralized AI can be more performant than centralized AI. And I think there's a lot of like research that's coming out to suggest that could be the case. Like for example, there's a new model architecture mixture of agents that came out. It's a little bit like mixture of experts, except it uses agents instead. And that is shown to be like pretty performant. There's also like some research called more agents is all you need, which is basically just like ensembling agents. Just run the same agent 1,000 times and get the average result, and that's it can be better than like GPT-4 and that sort of thing. So these types of like scalability in a horizontal sense on top of decentralized infrastructure, it seems like there's more and more research coming out to suggest that we're going in the right direction.
And James, a question to you again, because as an indexer, it's or a different positioning as maybe an AI agent provider. How did you have to change anything on your tech stack, or how do you work within the AI space over maybe a year ago, where you were mainly indexing just general blockchain data? How was your product positioning, or maybe the product roadmap changing or adjusting to AI?
So our main focus in the past has been on data availability, right? AI has this insatiable consumption requirement for training data. And for us, it's about providing very clean training data because, of course, unclean data is pretty harmful for AI. It doesn't really help. Clean, sanitized training data, transactions of what's in the box, like anything you want to various companies that want this data sets. And so that's been our main focus. But we've also launched a decentralized network. And we're starting to think, well, how can we use that decentralized network to also power as AI compute becomes more decentralized, potentially there might be a fit in there in the network as well.
And Jiahao, for Flock, I mean, I think also you call your models agents, right? It's a bit of, maybe you can clarify how the models on Flock work, and also how you verify, back to the topic of compute, how can you verify these models on Flock?
Right, so, first of all, for DPing, especially for the decentralized GPUs, right? We all know the news about. There's a lot of issues about when people providing those GPUs, they might do some virtual GPU type of tricks to maximize their incentives. We call them CBOs, of course, in this industry, right? So many of them, because they know they can get 100 times more incentives, then why not they split their one physical GPU to 100, right? So there's a lot of interesting solutions people are trying to look into. I know like our friend Jensen, they're trying to do some verification protocol. There are also other companies trying to tackle the problem in different ways. Like we actually working with two of the largest providers in this space, and we call it like a proof of intelligence or whatever, where we actually using this decentralized we use this decentralized training protocol as a means to actually test out the GPUs, whether they are actually running as they stated. So that's a way that we can actually to verify whether the end users are actually providing whatever they are stating, right? And also in a way, it's not wasted compute power, because we already have those models that you need to actually compute, or you need to actually verify on the results. So so that's a way of solving it. But of course, there are certain different ways that many people are trying to tackle. There are people using FHE or even ZK trying to tackle this area for verification protocol. It's great. I'm waiting to see many of the different solutions come out to make this space more clear
and secure. Any one of you guys want to add, like, how do you work on verifiability?
I would say I wanted to say something else. Like when I was last time at the panel here, I was discussing that the future of all these yield aggregators and so on is going to be disrupted by data agents. Yet I was thinking at that time we are a little bit far away of that, like 1-2 years ago and so on. Since then, something happened. There is a now huge amount of isolated markets protocols coming out, lending markets like Morpho, Euler, Silo Finance, and so on. They are basically providing single assets for lending and borrowing. And this is actually the gateway to bring data agents inside, and you don't need any more yield aggregators for building advanced portfolio strategies who are run decentralized, but yet are smart. And it's shocking how fast out of nowhere all these protocols just coming out. It was at that time some kind of announcement around Morpho. Now there are 7 or 8 of them. Not only that, just in parallel, there is a modular DeFi summit happening. And it's like this coming. And this is actually the gateway for data agents to take over DeFi.
Perfect. And if we talk about infrastructure process, and of course we work at the intersection of AI and Web3, which is mainly decentralized, want to talk a bit more about the ethical or the ethics of data ownership, right? If we put things more decentralized, we can give more power back to the user. How would you see or currently see the ethical approach of data ownership within big AI or also going forward in decentralized AI?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've been thinking a lot about like the terms of service for some of these big models. It's funny because they train on all of our data, but then we can't use the outputs of that model according to their terms of service. I think this still has to get tested in the courts from what I've heard, and it might not be like defensible. But like one of the things I've been thinking about in terms of data ownership is how we can use all of the data that we're generating by interacting with closed LLMs and kind of like pool that into like a shared data set so that we can catch up with closed models. Like I think it's great in the decentralized AI space that we're talking about, training models from scratch, using decentralized training techniques, building out a whole new data infrastructure that can be used to train these models. But I think the lowest hanging fruit in terms of like how we just keep up with centralized AI is to, save all of the inputs and outputs that we're sending to OpenAI and Anthropic, pool that data, maybe have some sort of like data ownership associated with it, and then train our own models on that.
Yeah, this is one area where we have an immediate improvement on what people are doing off-chain is because we have this attribution to these data sources. So say we're building some credit scoring model and we're training on loans from Compound and Aave. Well, as part of that process, we have all of these from addresses. So, okay, great, this data has been very useful. This is for our model. At some point, those people should be compensated for what they've contributed. And, instead of OpenAI having to sift through forums and find, Alice's mailing address to send her a check, we could just send them, directly tokens on chain. I'd hope to see that in the future with more of these models that incorporate on-chain data.
There's a great debate in AI, which is this competition between open and closed AI. And of course, last year, there was a leaked memo from Google where a Google engineer said AI has no moat. Do you think that's still the case? Or do you think over the past year or so since, that's changed? Do you think we're seeing that open source AI is catching up, if not passing, or it's just going to be just as good?
Maybe I just can add to that, like, for centralized companies who are doing these large LLMs and so on, there is no way they will open up, and these open models are never going to be able to compete with closed ones. And the reason for that is even like from the ethical point of view, there are like top tier managers who are saying they know it's wrong what they're doing, but they are also aware if they are not doing, competitors will do that, and they are forced to do that. And there is no way around. They are trapped in their spiral, and let's see how this is evolving. I personally believe OpenAI is going to base on the thesis of Web3 because this is a not financial system, it's an alternative infrastructure of future who basically redefines how the value should work and how things should work. And this is the only and best way we have. If we have this new underlying infrastructure, then this closed AI stuff doesn't even exist anymore. It's not a discussion anymore. It's just governance topics, which we are discussing there. We at Alterscope are not caring, to be honest, at the moment at all about ethical considerations. Yet we are obsessed around risk and security, and the side effect of that is ethical consideration, because security and liquidity management means you don't want concentration, you don't want control, you want to have many redundant systems, and that's in the end basically decentralization, governance, and that's what we on the ethical side want to achieve.
So Mario, if it's up to you, would you say that no decentralized Web3 company should ever support any kind of closed AI?
I didn't hear you.
Do you think that no Web3 company should ever support closed AI?
I personally believe they will not have a choice. This is going to be like, as every technology, in parallel, this disruptive development, which is quite slow, it needs time to catch up. And then there is a kind of merger, like WorldCoin is doing something with Web3 and so on. And then at one point, hopefully, all this ZK stuff is going to be so cheap that at one point, like electrical car, they are just coming out of nowhere and disrupting the old industry. I personally believe on the AI side, the closed system will never disappear. They will be extremely strong. And I hope, okay, this is now very ideological, that at one point just governments will realize, okay, our economies are screwed if OpenAI and Google is controlling everything. Let's go on Web3. And then you have this political power to get Web3 mainstream from the AI side.
James, we have a second moderator now on stage. James, more questions? No, go ahead, Richard.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think the time that no moat memo came out was around the time that people started training on the outputs of the closed models. And then we quickly realized that, these models are just going to output all of the data that they've been trained on, which is why it's super hard to keep that moat. And I don't think we've exploited that as much as we could have, right? We've seen some interesting experiments around the Noose Research BitTensor subnet, where the idea was to use the mining rewards from BitTensor to generate a bunch of synthetic data using GPT-4, and that could then be, the next data set for training an open LLM. I think I still use closed models. Not enough people are using open source models still. I think it's fine to use closed models because they're the most performant, but at least if we're using closed models, we should be storing the inputs and outputs that we send to those closed models, and ideally creating this shared data set of all of the inputs and outputs so that we can train open source models on them in future. So it's a coordination problem. If everyone in the world using OpenAI stored their inputs and outputs, we would catch up with closed source AI like that. So it's a coordination problem, and I think that's the lowest hanging fruit for catching up.
I also believe we are when we look at OpenAI, even this exists for multiple of years, actually just catch up with OpenAI 3, our ChatGPT 3, and that's 2 years old. ChatGPT is now a very useful tool for everyone to complement you in your doing work. But let's say 2 years from now, when ChatGPT gets strong and it starts to hurt people's jobs, so basically just making them obsolete and doing all the job, then it's going to be interesting to see how much companies for sure will adopt that, but how then the society will look at this stuff when they realize basically you don't need any more company with people, you just need people who give orders and then everything's executed. It's going to be a very different game, and then I personally believe everyone will talk about Web3.
So we touched already on the iPhone moment. It was actually also a question when do you guys think we can see this kind of iPhone moment for agents or for the intersection of Web3 and AI? You touched on it, but maybe answer to the specific question.
I think one of the most interesting announcements we've had in the last, 2 months, is at the Worldwide Developer Conference. Apple's long-awaited AI play is primarily on-device AI. It is an AI agent that is probably dumber than GPT-3, but it's on your phone and it's always there with you. It's always reading what you're doing and stuff. And I think it represents probably going to be a massive shift in the way that we deal with AI. And currently, an AI is a big fucking black box in some server somewhere, and we send some questions to it and we get an answer back. But having on-device AI with Apple and the iPhone, if we say the iPhone moment, will change the way that we look at it and the general population looks at AI in terms of an always-on assistant to what you have on your context in your real world right now. And I think it's a net positive for decentralized AI is because we'll have a desire for smaller models running closer to people on your devices, whether your primary phone or your spare devices nearby, that are yours and yours alone. They're trained on your data, they're fine-tuned on your content, and they're more personalized to you. And I think that model in the world will be something that decentralized AI infrastructure is going to be really good or really able to support over other infrastructure.
Yeah, I think, the iPhone is a platform. And the funny thing about the iPhone is that like a lot of the building blocks of the iPhone existed like long before Steve Jobs put them together. I think like what we want to do here is build a new platform for decentralized AI, right? And then the question becomes, what are the building blocks that we need to put together to enable this new platform? I think we probably already have those building blocks. We just haven't put them together in the right way. And I think most projects are kind of building like monoliths, and we're still not kind of trying to build this platform together yet. If we look at another type of generative AI platform that's been built, it's LangChain. What LangChain did that no other frameworks before it had done was like act as the glue between a bunch of different components, like LLMs and like tools and prompts that enabled like completely new functionality that wasn't possible before LangChain. So I think we need to be like building in between the different technological components in decentralized AI. And I think in a similar way to LangChain and in a similar way to the iPhone, that's going to enable a bunch of new functionality that isn't possible currently.
And again, since we are more coming from the crypto space, maybe Jiahao, you can comment on from more innovation from AI side. I think your team has a lot of AI experts, right? Yeah. Also, like, what can you share with us from the AI front? A lot of like progress that has been done that can actually accelerate the intersection of AI and Web3, and specifically also help to build better agents.
Yeah, I think back to the point you asked about the the iPhone moment, right? I definitely think the multimodal capability of GPT, maybe GPT-5, will be somewhere there. Like, cause it's the first time maybe when you chat to a bot, it can understand whatever shown on a picture, or actually can understand the feeling behind a clip of music or something. That's a way that actually can get away a lot of interesting functionality that's more than just textual conversations, but also towards more multimedia type of reactions, right? So that's what I think is a very interesting part of it. I think everyone's just waiting for like GPT-5, when is it, right?
Yeah, I think we're probably closer than we think to some iPhone moment. It feels like the pieces are coming together. There's new things to do on chain all the time. And now with these advances in AI and agents specifically, the way that we can interact is much better. We're not going to be limited to a browser wallet anymore, or for much longer, I think. And people are going to find this use of agents to do even what they do on chain today much, much better.
And this hopefully then also again leads to DAGI, what we discussed before. We touched on this point in the other panel that I moderated for decentralized artificial general intelligence, right? Which is more about like really bringing all of these components together. I think, Richard, you commented on this, but would you like to add a bit more? What do we need to do to really push DAGI use cases forward and make them happen maybe in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I think AGI is going to be decentralized by definition. I don't think we're going to get to AGI with a centralized approach. I think what I kind of touched on this already, but what we really need to do is to like push forward research that shows that decentralized AI is more performant than centralized AI. Like, for example, I don't know if anyone's played around with Baby AGI before, but the creator just came out recently and said that Baby AGI isn't a true multi-agent system because all of the agents use the same LLMs, the same code base, the same data source, maybe run on the same node. Then I started looking into the research to see, how much has actually been done on true multi-agent systems where each agent uses a different LLM, for example. There's actually very little done on that. And I think it's going to be more performant because, just like if you're working in a team, if you're working with people who have a lot of the same skill sets, usually it's not as good as if you're working on a team where everyone has different skill sets, right? We haven't even explored this with respect to LLMs yet. And I think that's something that favors decentralized AI. So if we can all kind of do these experiments, fund this research, do the research ourselves to show that true multi-agent systems using different LLMs, different data sources are more performant, then I think we're going to get to DAGI faster.
Anyone wants to add to this? Go ahead, Zane.
Yeah, this multi-agent system is something we're really interested in also. Okay, GPT can do XYZ, we want to do XYZ. In many cases, we found that separate model for this other agent does make a difference for exactly the way you said. Different members of your team have different specialities. These agents should as well. So we'll have separate agent for code generation, one for orchestration. All these other agents are encapsulated as tools working on their own specialized task, which definitely lends itself well to decentralized AI in the future.
And agents that can help to create agents, right? To make things more efficient.
I personally believe what's extremely important that we see all these ZK related verification stuff goes mainstream, having some kind of killer apps, killer use cases, because they are going to enable massive data sets into Web3 space. And this is actually then the open gateway to everything around AI related stuff, data agents, general AI, and so on. But this has first happened because if this does not happen, then we are constantly working off-chain, and then centralized off-chain, centralized AI is never going to disappear.
No question from you, James? All good. Is there anything cool that you're working on you would like to share with the audience? Because the topic is also innovation since agents unleashed last time. Anything you would like to announce to excite the audience? I hope everyone can share something. Come on.
Yeah, I can go first. So, yeah, like I said, the creator of Baby AGI has come out recently and said that all of the existing frameworks we have aren't true multi-agent systems. So what Naptha is building is an SDK and infrastructure for running true multi-agent systems. So, we implemented a demo of Baby AGI, which has a few different specialized agents. And we ran each of those agents on a different node. And now those agents can still cooperate across the network. And as far as we know, that's the first time that that's been possible. We want to build out a bunch of new multi-agent systems as well. One that I really want to build soon is the Stanford Generative Agents paper. That's the social simulation where they created a multi-agent system with 25 different agents. Each agent had a different backstory, and they ran it in a virtual world for 2 days. Just for 25 agents, that costs thousands of dollars to run. What happens if we want to run social simulations at the scale of millions of agents or billions of agents, right? You're probably not going to do it on one centralized node, first of all. And also, you're not going to be able to, get the same input in terms of user data. So that's something that we want to enable on our platform soon, are these massive social simulations. And that will be a really cool demo of what decentralized AI can do.
Yeah. From Flock side.
I just realized last time in AGI, we were on a panel with Akash, Richo, and you, right? That's interesting. As your question asked, since the last time, what happened? Well, basically, you will work with Akash. Everyone on Akash can run Flock nodes easily, one-line code. And also, we worked with Richo, on the infranet side. So basically, upstream, downstream, the panelists collaborate already together. We need to do some AI services with you as well. Yeah. So, right, I think these are very concrete, interesting results of the panel, that's why I like this crowd. And every time, Olas talking about having an event again, I was like, yeah, sure, of course, let's do it, right? So I like the crowd, I like the community, I like every one of us are building different part of the AGI, and I'm trying to bring them all together. That's great.
Just maybe to announce that we are soon launching our test network and first vaults on Silo and Euler network, Euler Finance. That basically means we will manage liquidity, which is going to be verified on our verified infrastructure. That basically means powered by data agents, bringing off-chain data for processing.
We're cooking up something big in the kitchen right now, but unfortunately I can't share too much alpha. It really pains me.
Okay. Meet James later.
Yeah, in a couple weeks, we'll have our new agent creation platform out, which will be a big step forward for us. Previously, we had this conversational GPT store style interaction, and we've been working on an autonomous version of this. So you'll be able to come create autonomous agents. Users will be able to create or modify them, and you'll earn money off that. if they're being used. And we'll have a large suite of tools available on day one for trading applications and a number of other things, which we're really excited about.
Amazing. And I'm already excited when we all meet each other again at the next conference on stage, where we will be then. So much progress in such a short time. We do have some more time. If there are any questions from the audience. I know you're all tired, but come on. Yes.
Thank you. I have a question for Flock, because I feel like federated learning is really the organic intersection for crypto and AI. I was wondering, what are the concrete use cases for like federated learning like you guys are building? Thanks.
Oh yeah. So thank you. Yes. So federated learning by nature, it is kind of decentralized compute, right? So many of the traditional industry is using it anyways. For us, the majority of the Web2 cases are from healthcare and finance, especially on the healthcare cases that we're actually working with 8 hospitals in 8 different countries doing this glucose monitoring case with them together, especially in London, UCLH. So it's a quite interesting case where we can actually make sure users' data stays local. They don't have to send across jurisdiction and arouse any of the regulation headaches. So it's that was a great showcase about federated learning, especially in decentralized way, how it works. And well, of course, on decentralized world in Web3, our clients include Morpheus, and also we work with Olas before about those agents that we build in their prediction markets and the transaction bots, AI companion models. So many of those are all from our demand side. Thank you. No.
Thank you very much. Great panel, guys. Also, this is for Flock as well. I was reading some of the docs. I saw that you guys employ secure multi-party computation. Can you explain to me what that is and why you guys decided to implement that?
Oh, secure multi-party, yes. So it's a way to ensure that users' data stays local or in a secured way when they do decentralized training together in a network. Because if you are sending your data across everywhere, right? Yes, it's a way maybe you can do transparent audit, right? But of course, it's unsafe. So the way that how we do the transmission, there are several ways in federated learning already. For example, deep gradient compression. So even though you are sending a gradient, which is not your data already, but we still have a compression over it to make sure, first of all, the efficiency is quite high, and secondly, it's actually being compressed that you can't actually unfold it into your original data. So these are the ways that we do on the website talking about decentralized or security transmission between different nodes. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, so for the whole panel, like if you have access to a ton of GPUs, would you be mining or would you be doing training and inference? So the question was, if you have access to a farm of GPUs today, would you be mining or inferring and training?
I would go towards training because I believe you can create much more harm in the world with disrupting the economy and how the world is working than getting few Bitcoins.
Yeah, I vote for training also.
Are we getting to like a capacity issue with like training GPUs these days? Are we getting into any kind of capacity issues of training GPUs these days? Are you guys finding that at all?
Personally, we're not, but
Yeah.
we also rely heavily on models that other people have trained, so yeah.
We're mostly doing inference and like agent inference, so that's what I would use it for. I just run as many, researcher agents as possible on these GPUs. Maybe like synthetic data generation or something like that.
Yeah, I think I will connect those GPU farms to either Akash or IO or other of our collaborators, and then use them to mine Flock. So I got 2 coins.
But what comes actually to my mind, maybe we can use the GPUs to mine more Bitcoins or whatever, and then to buy more GPUs to go into trading.
Thank you for the great questions from the audience. This was good. The speakers will be around, I think, for more one-on-one questions. I would like to end or close the panel discussion here. Thank you so much. It was great input, and I'm, again, very excited to see where we're at in the next 3 months. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.